So we'll discuss about the well-postness and solutions method, okay, in this first 10 minutes. And then we'll discuss about whatever we discussed in the last class, how to get the solution. And we'll solve some simple problems in these lectures, okay? And if time permits, we'll go for that general solutions of linear PDEs and other things, especially the method of characteristics, okay? So as we have studied as we have discussed already, like the study of the PDE, like there are two kinds of things you can categorize. One is called theory, another is called application. So in theory part, what we will do is that we will study the following things. One is nothing but the existence of solution, where the solution is going to exist. Then means like at least one solution exists or not, that we got to check for the given PDE. Then second thing, what we will check is that if that at least one solution is existing, then we will check it whether at most one solution, means uniqueness is there or not, okay, to study whether that at most one solution is existing, where we'll be imposing some more conditions, okay. So that is second thing. Then third thing is stability, okay. This is called continuous dependence of data. So using these three principles, we'll propose a thing called well-postness, which I will say it in the next slide. Probably you might have Raghavendra sir might have covered it in the ODE course also, but it is again important here also. So just see that. In the applications, what we'll see is that how do we construct the solutions? Okay, solution construction. How can we construct a solution? So mostly what I will do is that I will be sitting in the PDE. From PDE, I will move to the ODE. In ODE, I will try to solve the problem. If the solution is there in the ODE, then I will just try to bring it over here. So I'll just try to find a correspondence from that to here. Okay, so that's the major idea. Okay, but there are some other things are also there. If you see, many problems will be like, instead of solving the PDE, we'll be converting with some assumptions to the ODE, solve it in that setting, and then come back here. This is the major things will be there. Then next thing is that whether the smoothness of the solution is there. Okay, how smooth the solution is there. That means the regularity we got to check it. Then if there is approximate solution, okay, when there is no exact solution is available, how do we find the approximate solution? So that is also not possible all the cases. Okay, so that is also okay. This is another important thing. Might have studied in the OD, but I'm just repeating the same thing. So a problem with the initial or boundary condition. Okay, a problem with initial or boundary condition, or even you can take any problems. Okay, in the mathematics. Okay, so there are that problem is said to be well posed. Okay, when do we say it is well posed? It satisfies the following criteria. First condition is that the existence of the solution. The solution must exist. Okay, the solution must exist. Okay, that is first condition. Second condition is that the solution must be unique. Okay, you should not have more than one solution. The solution must be unique according to the conditions given. Third thing is the stability. Means solution depend on the continuously depend on the initial boundary and initial and boundary data. So, for example, I explained last time some Neumann boundary condition or Dirichlet boundary conditions, right? So I have a problem like uxx plus uyy equal to 0, okay, and then I have some conditions here. Now, question number 1 is that whether the solution is going to exist for this problem or not. Okay, that is first question. If that is existing, okay, and then I will apply the boundary conditions, etc. Then I got to say whether the solution is going to be unique or not. Even the solution is unique, what I want to see is that, for example, some problems may be having some. So the initial condition is given. For example, I have given some ux equal to some 0 is given, or some epsilon is given. Okay, I have given some epsilon. I have given. And what I am going to do is that, suppose I just perturb this one. Okay, the initial condition I have given, I just perturb with some delta. Okay, some small variation I'm doing. Now what I want to check is that whether my u is going to be, okay, so for ux equal to epsilon, or I will just write it this way. Answer. So I'll just write this way. So some ux equal to, or some k, or some u equal to some f is given. Okay, so it is given as an initial condition. Either it is a Neumann or Dirichlet condition is given. Now, accordingly, what you are getting is that you are getting some u of x comma y, right? So it is going to be like, let us say it is bounded. Let us say it is bounded by some constant c. Now, what I want to do is that instead of imposing this condition, I'm going to impose something like k plus epsilon or f plus epsilon. I'm going to impose. Now, what I want to see is that this u of x comma y should be still bounded. It should be still bounded. It should be still some constant, some different constant may be there, but it should be still bounded. And that if I just see the difference between that, it should not be much larger, like some delta, some small variations would be there. Instead, suppose here u of x comma y is c, and this u of x comma y, because of this epsilon, if it is going to diverge, okay, if it is unbounded, that means it is not well posed, because I'm just making small disturbance over here, but that is going to make a big difference. Why this is very important in the physical sense or the engineering sense is that whenever you do some experiment, it is not necessary that you are going to get the exact measurement. You are not going to get. Okay, the exact measurement is not going to be obtained. That is the reason always when you talk about in the analysis course or analysis 1 course or analysis 2 course, real analysis or complex analysis, there will be epsilon always involved. Why do we need this epsilon in the real sense or in the physics sense is that whenever you do some experiment, it is not guaranteed that you are going to get exactly the same answer. Okay, what you will get is that you will get some small perturbation is going to be there. So what we are trying to do is that suppose you devise some mechanism or some equations, let us say Einstein or someone has derived some equation in such a way that they found a partial differential equation or some equation, some mathematical equation they got found, which is going to be like continuous, etc., satisfying for that function, the equation which they got described. Now, what will happen since the experiment is not accurate enough? There will be some disturbance will be there. So they have given some initial conditions. For example, I just say like I'm heating some nuclear reactor or something. I'm just heating. Okay. So in that case, some experiment you are going, some temperature you are heating, or some initial conditions you are going to provide. Now in that initial condition, suppose okay the measurement for this problem, you obtain that this is going to be bounded problem. So you are going to solve that problem. Now, what you are going to do is that you are going to give it some your junior technician or someone, and he made small disturbance in the data. Okay, means he made some small disturbance in the data. This disturbance can come either due to the manual error or it can come due to the climate and other things also. Because always you will not get the same conditions depending on the temperature. It may be varying. Now the question is that whether your system is going to be stable or not, or your equation is going to be stable or not, depending on this one only. Because if there is no stability, what will happen is that if this for small epsilon, if your solution is going to become like a disaster, okay, it is going to become like unbounded. That means it can become a disaster. So now instead of u of x comma y, you assume that you are sitting in a nuclear fission or nuclear in some nuclear reactor experiment where you govern this equation and then you obtain this one. Okay, so the temperature which you measure is that it is going to be bounded. Okay, it is going to be something like let's say like some 1000 degrees Celsius. It is going to be there like this. Okay, just an assumption in this thing. Now what you are going to do is that these are all obtained because of this problem, and you have obtained with some initial condition. Now suppose this problem is not stable, this t of x comma y can go like anything. Like suppose this is going to small disturbance, if it is making like 10,000 or 1 lakh degrees Celsius, then you can imagine that what is going to happen. Okay, that the entire system may collapse or anything can happen. So in that case, you should be very careful. This is very, very important condition. If this condition is, if your problem is not satisfying the stability, means small disturbance here, the small disturbance, the initial condition I have made small disturbance. Okay, in the initial temperature I have made small disturbance, and that okay for the unperturbed data 1000 degree and perturbed data 1 lakh degree or 1 million degree if it is producing, that means you are going to get into the trouble. So that should not happen. Okay, so this should not happen, means if it is bounded, small disturbance also it should be bounded. The solution should continuously depend on the initial data and our boundary data. Okay, so it should depend on the continuously on the boundary and the boundary data and the initial data. Okay, so that is very important thing. If one of these conditions are failed, okay, either the solution is not existing, okay, or there are more than one solution, or the stability is not there, then in that case what we say is that the problem is called ill post. Okay, well post means all these conditions should be satisfied. Ill post means at least one of the conditions need not satisfy. One or more conditions are not satisfied, then we say that the problem is ill post. Any questions? Okay, so next one. So this is very important. Okay, so whenever you do some PD application, this is very important. Otherwise, your problem is going to become very difficult. Okay, so this one we have already seen, but I just repeat it. Okay, in the first or second lecture we have seen this one. So what we try to do is that by finding the solution, we try to solve a PDE that satisfy the well-posedness criteria. Okay, the previous one I mentioned, right? So that should be satisfied. So a function. So suppose the problem is given, some PDE is given. What you need to find is that you got to find the U of x. So mostly we are going to in this lecture mostly we'll be sticking to U of x only. Okay, so it means we are not going to solve the system of PDE. Only the simple PDE we are going to solve. So a function U of x is going to satisfy solution of the PDE. When it is going to be satisfy solution of the PDE, so it should satisfy all the partial derivatives should appear in the it should satisfy all the partial derivatives appearing in the PDE. Okay, it should satisfy all the partial derivatives appearing in the PDE. It should be satisfied. Identically, it should satisfy. Second thing is that second question I'm going to ask is that should it be real analytic? Means should this function be analytic function? Okay, that is another question. Probably we can check it. For this, there are some theorems are there which you will see it. Okay, for some of the problems. Then we are asking whether the u belongs to C infinity of omega. Means is it a smooth function? Are we expecting a smooth function? I'm not going to expect infinitely smooth function. I'm expecting lesser condition. Means we if it is there, I'm happy enough. But if it is not there, what we are trying to do is that we are expecting too much in this case. We are trying to restrict ourselves. So in such a case, what I'm expecting is that suppose my PDE is mth order. Okay, my PDE is mth order PDE. Then what I'm expecting is that at least u power m, at least u should belongs to u should belongs to C m of omega. Means it should be m times differentiable and continuous. The mth order differential equation should be continuous. Okay, so that is the things which I'm expecting. So that at least that PDE will be satisfied. At least that much smoothness enough for me. Okay, so this is the mth order PDE if it is satisfying. Okay, you satisfy this mth order PDE, all its derivative is satisfying, and u belongs to Cm of omega, then we call that solution as classical solution. Okay, this kind of solution. So I found a solution U of x for a given PDE, and that satisfies that belongs to this class Cm of omega. Okay, m times differentiable and that is continuous. Then we call it as a classical solution. That kind of solution we call it as a classical solution. Okay, so next one. So this one also we have checked in the last class, but I'm just repeating it. So can we always obtain a classical solution? The question is that can we always obtain a classical solution for this for a given PDE? For example, you can consider this Burger's equation. We will discuss this much more detail how to solve this problem. But I'm just giving the example. Okay, so it is not always for certain specific PDEs you can obtain that. For example, you can consider this Burger's equation. So what is it going to happen for this problem? This is going to produce something called Sark-based problem. Okay, we'll see that at most at the end of the lecture. This is discontinuity problem. So we'll see that okay, Sark wave problem is going to come. Okay, so the Sark wave is nothing but a kind of discontinuity is going to come. It is going to be a discontinuity is going to obtain in the solution. Means it is no longer continuous. You are going to get a discontinuity is going to obtain in this case. But still, this problem is very, very important in the physics and the aerospace, as well as in the traffic flow problems. It is very important. I will explain that what is that derivations and all. So that is very, very important for this problem. So in that case, what do they assume is that they study the conservation laws in the physics, the underlying physics. They will understand that. So in that case, they will allow you as not continuously differentiable. Okay, they will allow that. It is not necessary that. Okay, it is not necessary that you should allow you to be not continuously differentiable. They don't expect that continuously differentiable. So they expect not continuously differentiable functions also they expect. So due to this, like distribution theory and the Sobolev spaces, these are all came into the picture. So we'll discuss that in the later part of the lecture. So this is called Sark wave. For this problem, there will be a Sark wave coming depending on the condition. I will explain that later. So it means I am expecting u belongs to Cm of omega, but for this problem, it is not going to belong to u belongs to Cm of omega, but instead I will get something like d of omega. So I will explain that d of omega in the later part. This is called distribution space. Okay, d of omega means it is a distribution function. In that case, it will be obtained that. So if that belongs to instead of belonging to this one, if it belongs to d of omega, then that is called weak solution or generalized solution. Okay. So what we are going to obtain is that, so if it is belong to here, I will get the classical solution. Okay, but I'm not going to get that. I'm going to get something called d of omega that I called as a weak solution. Okay, this is a weak distributional derivative. Will obtain that. We'll explain what is distributional derivative, etc., in the later part of the lecture. So in that case, we call it as weak solution or generalization. Okay, that means you are not going to get the classical solution which I expected. I'm just still relaxing for some of the problems. That's what we will see. Okay. So the method to solve PDEs, these are the different methods like Fourier method, which I have already means we'll see that that is kind of separation of variables, how to separate the variables in order to reduce the PDEs into simpler ODE format, ordinary differential equation. So I will have a PDE format. I will use separation of variable and then bring back to the ODE problem. I'll solve the ODE problem, okay, and then I will bring back to that PDE using the eigenfunction expansion method or some summation method. We'll see that. Okay. So that is called the Fourier method. Then Green's function method. So here again we will use the radial solution. So here what I will do is that I'll convert this problem into kind of a polar coordinate format. Okay, and I will obtain the radial solution, and then I will use this principle for finding the solution. And again, if required, I will come back to the Cartesian coordinate. Okay, so that is the idea. So energy method, this also we'll see in this lecture. Okay, I mean in this course we'll see that. So here what we are going to do is that we are going to minimize the error. Okay, so that is called variation of method. Okay, variation method, calculus of variation or variational formulation method. So that also we'll see. Then there is a method of characteristic and D'Alembert's method is also there. So in the method of characteristic, we will see something like using some geometric principles. We'll see that, okay, how to solve the problem, and we'll check it. Now let us come back to simple problems, how to solve. So as I mentioned, like in order to solve a PDE, we are trying to solve a ODE problem, and then we'll check it. Okay. So let us come back. Let us come to simple problems. So you know this problem: dy by dx equal to 0. What is the solution for this problem? This is very simple, right? Y equal to c, where c is some arbitrary constant. Okay. So this is very simple problem. Okay, dy by dx equal to 0, y equal to c. These are some simple problem. We can solve that. Assume that y the enough conditions are assumed for all the y and x. Okay, the domain and other things are assumed. Okay, so all these things which Raghavendra sir might have insisted in the OD course. If I say this problem, he will not accept that this is a problem. You have to describe where that y belongs to, where the x belongs to, etc., etc. Okay. So all these assumptions, I'm going to assume that. Okay, so y dy by dx equal to 0, y equal to c is constant. This is the solution for this problem. Now let us consider this problem. Okay, so this is the ODE part. This is ODE part. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to take the PDE part. Okay, so in this case, I'm just going to take ux equal to 0. Okay, so this is similar to this one, dy by dx equal to 0. Similar to that, ux equal to 0. I'm going to assume that. So this is ODE, so we are going to get y equal to c. Okay, now this is ux equal to 0. It's depend on x. Okay, ux I mentioned, so it is depending on x. Okay, so will be so it is independent of x. Okay, therefore what I'm expecting is that ux equal to 0 is there. So u is, so let us assume that my u is going to be u of x comma 1. Let us assume that u equal to u of x comma 1. Okay, this is going to, means I'm going to take a two variable problem. Okay, 2D problem I'm going to take it. Now what I'm going to get is that, so I expect that u is equal to some constant I expect, but what I want is that if I put something here which is independent of x, okay, if I take something here which is independent of x, automatically if I take x equal ux, that is going to become 0, because the right hand side is completely independent of x. Okay, if it is independent of x, if I take the derivative, that is going to become like 0. So therefore what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to assume u is equal to, so I'm not assuming, I'm just going to obtain that u is equal to f of y, some function of y. So I put u is equal to f of y, then automatically you take ux, because this is function of y only, there is no x over here. Therefore what you are going to get is that you are going to get this one, ux equal to 0. Okay, so u equal to f of y is a solution for this problem, ux equal to 0, where f is any arbitrary function. Okay, f is arbitrary function. Of course you must have the other condition like f dash must be continuous in order to get this solution. Otherwise you will not get the, because this one we require you should be continuous and differentiable, right? So at least you require that in order to get the classical solution, you require that this f of y should be continuous. Okay, f dash must be continuous at least. F should be continuous and f dash must be continuous. Okay, so that must be required. So u equal to f of y, vx equal to 0 is going to come. Okay, you can take any arbitrary function here, then you are going to get that. Now suppose instead of u equal to x comma y, u of x comma y, suppose I take u equal to x comma y comma z. Okay, so in that case what I'm going to get is that I'm going to get u is equal to, okay, so for this problem what I'm going to get is that f of y comma z is going to come. Okay, so again this function is independent of x. So if I take ux, there is no variable x is involved over here, therefore ux equal to 0 is going to come. Okay, so you remember here dy by dx equal to 0 means y equal to c. So here no x is involved over here, it's simply constant. This is also constant with respect to x because there is no x involved here. It is independent of x. This is also constant with respect to x because there is no x involved over here. Okay, so therefore this is called, this u equal to f of y is called the general solution, okay, of this problem x equal to 0. U equal to f of y comma z is also a general solution of this problem in case of three dimensional. Okay, so if I take u is equal to general, u is equal to u x y, let's say like let me put this way, ux1 equal to 0. So ux means ux1 equal to 0 I'm putting. So x1, x2, x3, etc. x4 is there. Sorry, xn is there. So in this case, what is it going to come? U is going to become like some f of x2 comma x3 comma etc. xn is going to come. So here this independent of x1. Okay, this is the general solution for this problem. Any doubts on this one? Any questions? Any doubts? Okay, then let's go to the next one. So again, I'm going to take a similar problem. Now I'm taking uy equal to 2x. Okay, so this is with respect to y it is there. Therefore, this problem is same as this problem. Okay, so this problem is same as this problem. dy by dx equal to some constant. Okay, so this is same as this problem because here with respect to y it is there. So it is 2x. Okay, therefore with respect to y it is a constant. So therefore this is similar to this problem. dy by dx equal to k. Dy by dx equal to k means what is y? Y equal to kx.
Kx.
Kx plus c. So same thing it is going to come here. What I'm going to get is that u is equal to, this is constant. Okay, so I can keep it as it is. So k in the place I'm giving 2x. This is with respect to y. Therefore here x is there. So here y is going to come. Okay, whatever was here, it was multiplied. Here. So whatever is here, it will be multiplied here. 2x into y plus some constant is going to come. Okay, but it is not going to be constant here. Instead, you are going to get a function of x you are going to get because here it is with respect to y, right? So this c I can just replace with some f of x. Now you just take back earlier. So if it differentiate with respect to y, this is 2x. So with respect to y, it is constant. So 2x is going to come. This is constant with respect to y. Therefore, it is going to become like 0. So uy equal to 2x is going to be. Okay. So this is the general solution. This is where f is arbitrary function in x. Same way, I can put the other one. Uy equal to sine x plus cos y. Yes.
Can you repeat that PD part?
See, uy equal to 2x, right? So this is constant with respect to y only. I have to integrate. So how do you get this one? You are doing integration and then get it right in this problem. So we'll integrate with respect to x and then do it right. This is what you will do. Okay.
Yes.
Same way here, what you are going to do is that this is uy equal to 2x is there. So we are going to integrate with respect to y because this is dy. Okay. Of course, I can't put this way, but this is the way I'm just comparing this one. Okay. Uy equal to dy, and this way you are going to put 2x plus dy plus some constant you are going to get it. Okay. Some constant you are going to get it. Now this is going to become like u. This is going to become like 2xy because this is with respect to y. So it is constant. Okay. 2xy plus some constant is going to come. But this is not a ODE problem, it is a PDE problem. So here what you are going to get is that instead of a constant, you are going to get a function of x because you integrate with respect to y. Therefore, I can put some function of x. That's what I'm obtaining here.
Yes.
Clear?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Now same way here, dy uy equal to sin x plus cos y. This problem I can write it this way: dy by dx equal to some k plus some cos x. I can write it. Okay. So in this case, what is it going to come? So y is equal to some kx plus cos x I got to integrate. So that is going to become like sin x. Okay. So that's what I'm going to get. So plus some constant is going to come. Okay. So now we'll do the same thing over here. So u is going to become like, it is going to become like, so sin x is constant. Okay. With respect to y, it is there. So it is constant. So sin x is as it is. So assume sin x is nothing but k in this problem. So sin x with respect to y, you got to integrate. Therefore, this is going to become like sin xy, or I will put it y sin x in order to avoid the confusion of sin xy. Okay. So y into sin x I'm keeping. Plus this is cos y. Cos y is going to become like sin y. Plus with respect to y, I am integrating. Therefore, here some constant should come. In the place of constant, what I am going to get? Some function of x is going to come. Okay. The f is an arbitrary function of x because this is with respect to y I am integrating. Any questions? Okay. So next one, let us make it little complicated. Okay. So let's go for the next one. Okay. So next one, what I'm going to take is that I'm going to take u x z equal to x plus y minus z. Okay. So let us reveal one by one. Okay. First, I'm going to differentiate. First, I'm going to integrate. First, I'm going to integrate with respect to z. I'm going to integrate. Therefore, left hand side is going to become like, with respect to z, I'm integrating. Therefore, this is going to become like uxx because the dou z by dou x will be dou u by dou z will be gone. Okay. So that is going to be integrated. So what is it going to become? With respect to z, I'm going to integrate. Therefore, with respect to z, it is constant. Therefore, it is going to become like x z. With respect to z, this is also constant. Therefore, it is going to become like y z. And it is z already. So it is going to become like minus z square by 2 plus some constant is going to come. Okay. Now, with respect to z, I am integrating, but it is a function of three variables, x, y, z is there. Therefore, what I am going to get, it should be a function of other than the z, it should be there. So x comma y. Now you can recheck that. If I just differentiate with respect to z, it is going to become like x. This is going to be z, sorry, y. This is going to become like 2z by 2. So 2 to cancel minus z. And this is already independent of x. So independent of z. Therefore, it is going to become like 0. Okay. Now you do the same thing. You integrate with respect to x now. This is going to become like x square by 2. X square z by 2 plus y xy z. Okay. With respect to x, I am doing. Therefore, it is constant. So x, y, z. Minus this is also constant. So we are going to get minus x z square by 2 plus this is f of x comma y. Therefore, you are going to get not the same thing. Okay. So here there is a problem here because you are trying to integrate with respect to x here. But I don't know what is this f of xy exactly. So, but if I still integrate, what I'm going to get is that I'm going to get some other function, which is going to be a function of x and y. So I'm not going to get the same thing. So I'm going to get something like f1 of x comma y. I'm going to put it because this here f1 of x comma y is nothing but the integration of this f of x comma y with respect to x. Okay, this is the integration of f of x comma y with respect to x. Okay, that you remember. Then plus one more is going to come because I'm just integrating with respect to x now. Therefore, I will get one more constant now. That constant is going to be independent of x. So therefore, I'm going to g of y comma z is going to come. Okay, this is new function you are going to get. Okay, now you can just go back here. So if I differentiate with respect to x, what you are going to get? This is going to become like x z. Okay, and this is going to become like y z. And this is going to become like x z square by 2. So as I mentioned already, f1 of x comma y is nothing but the integration of this one. Therefore, if we differentiate this one, we are going to get this f of x comma y. And g of y comma z is independent of x, so we are going to get it 0. Any questions? These two are this part is a little bit crucial part. Okay, so this part you will be always forgetting once we do the integration. So remember this one. Okay, so this part you will be doing mostly, but this part you will be committing mistake. Okay, that will make a complete disaster for the problem. Okay, so you remember this part. Okay. Any doubts?
Sir, in the F1 XY, I don't think it's clear to me.
Sorry, F1 XY.
F1 XY, it is dependent on XY. Can you repeat? It's not a.
See, you are integrating with respect to X, right? So this part, up to this part, you understand, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Now f of x comma y, it is independent, it is depending on X, right? So now if I want to, suppose I have a function f of x comma y, okay, I have a problem like ux equal to f of x comma y. How do you solve this problem? You got to integrate, right? So you will get u is equal to integral f of x comma y dy, you will get it. What is this one? This is again, sorry, not dy, dx. Because it is with respect to x, right? So dx you are going to get it. So this is going to be once again some function of x comma y is going to come, right? Because with respect to dx you are integrating, therefore x term will be that, and y is also that, therefore you are going to get some function of x comma y, you are going to get it, right? So that I am just replacing it as some other function. That is going to be another function that I am replacing it as f1 of x comma y. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Then plus this is different. This is because you will get some other constant because you are integrating with respect to x. Some more constants should come. That constant should be independent of x. So that I replace it as g of y comma z. Because g of y comma z is independent of x, and this is an arbitrary function. Now what is u? Okay, so this again you got to integrate with respect to x. So this is going to become like x cubed by 6 z. Okay, and x square y z by 2 minus x square z square by 4. Okay, plus again I'm integrating with respect to x. So this is going to become like f2 of x comma y, some other function, again same logic which I explained, and this is going to become like, again I'm integrating with respect to x. Now this is constant, therefore it is going to become like x into g of y comma z. So here I'm not putting some g1 of y comma z, I'm simply putting x into g of y comma z. Why? Because this is independent of x, so this is, for me, it is a constant, so I can just multiply that with x, that's all. Okay, plus some more constant is going to come because I will get some constant, so that constant again it should be independent of x, so I'm going to get h of y comma z. Just observe this one. Any questions, let me know. Any questions? If you don't understand, or if you have some silly questions also, no problem, just ask me. Any questions? Okay, fine. Okay, next problem. So let us make it little more complicated now. Again, the first order PD only we are going to solve. So in this problem, what we are going to take, we are going to solve a similar kind of ODE problem. The similar kind of things we are going to solve it here. So you know this problem, dy by dx plus px equal to q. Sorry, py equal to q. This problem you know. Okay. This is the first order PD ODE problem. Okay, the ODE problem which you used to solve it. So you might have studied like how to obtain the solution for this one using the making this problem as exactness, etc., etc. So this one, I'm just I'm not going to explain those things. So you know this one from the PD course, that y equal to e power minus integral pdx, okay, into integral q e power pdx plus c. You know this formula, okay? So I'm just assuming that you know this one, okay? Let's say it's an arbitrary constant. This is the ODE problem. Once you solve this problem, you used to get this one. Okay, this, I hope you have studied this one. Now a similar kind of problem we are going to solve it in the PD. Okay, so suppose I solve this problem, ux plus 2u equal to y. This is my problem which I'm trying to solve. Okay, so you can just apply the same strategy here. So here, instead of y, this u is there. Okay, instead of y, you have, sorry, instead of y, you have u here. Instead of x, x is there in the q part. So it should be some functions can be there. which is I'm just keeping y. Something can be there. Okay, even it can be f of x comma y can also be there. Okay, some function can be there, which is x and y can be there. Now what I'm going to do is that I'm going to apply the same strategy what I have obtained here. So P, what is, so you compare these two, okay, you compare this one with this one, okay. So from this one you can understand that P equal to 2, Q equal to y, okay, P equal to 2, Q equal to y. So therefore, in the place of y, okay, in the place of y you have u, so u is equal to e power minus p dx, so that is going to become like minus 2 dx, okay. Again, integral y into q, so which is y, e power integral, so p dx, so 2 dx into dx, okay, plus some constant is going to come. Now this constant, see here with respect to x I'm doing, so this is a single independent thing, so constant is going to come. Here with respect to x I'm doing, but it is a function of x and y, therefore whatever is independent of things, that will be a constant for me. Okay, whatever is independent of x, that will be a constant for me. So in the place of c, I'm just going to replace with some arbitrary function f of y. Okay, that's all. So you can solve this one now. So u is equal to, this is going to become like e power minus 2x integral, this is going to become like y into integral y into e power 2x dx plus f of y is going to come. Okay, so y is independent of things, so I can just take it out. Okay, so therefore this is going to become like e power minus 2x y into, this is e power 2x, so we are going to get e power 2x by 2 plus f of y is going to come. Okay, or you can write it as the same thing, you can write it as e power y by 2 plus e power minus 2x into f of y, both are same. Okay, so whatever I'm having this problem, I know that setup in the ODE, same kind of logic I'm applying. Wherever constant is there, you got to think wisely and then you got to apply it. Any doubts? Any doubts? Okay, a similar kind of problem will apply, the same problem will apply it in the later classes with a different technique. Okay, so that also is it. Okay, one more problem. Uyy plus u equal to 0. Okay, any questions on this one? See, if you know how to solve the ODE problem, whatever we solved is very simple. Okay, you can solve it easily. Okay, one more problem. I think this is the last problem, I think. Okay, so now what I have is that uyy plus u equal to 0. So if you see this problem, this is something similar to y double dash plus y equal to 0. Okay, y double dash plus y equal to 0. For this problem, you know the solutions. Okay, this is going to be of this problem. Y equal to a cos x plus b sin x is going to come, because you got to obtain the auxiliary equation. Auxiliary equation is going to become like m square plus 1 equal to 0. Then you will get m equal to plus or minus I. So a cos x plus b sin x is going to come. Okay, so where a and b are arbitrary constants. Now the setting is going to be same here. Uyy plus u equal to 0. Therefore, what you are going to get is that u is equal to, you are going to get it something like same kind of things. Okay, a cos x. So here y. So x, in the place of x, y is there. So you are going to get a cos y plus b sin y is going to come. But remember that this here a and b are constants. Okay, this is ODE problem. Okay, here a and b are constants. Now what is it going to come here? Okay, in the place of a, okay, so this is not going to be a and b. Instead, I'm going to write it as u is equal to, okay, some with respect to y I'm doing. So in the place of a, it is going to become like f of x. So in the place of a, whatever is independent variable, independent a function which is independent of this variable, that should be written. Therefore, it is going to become like f of x cos y plus g of x sin y. You can verify whether it is going to be true or not. Okay, so you take uy is going to become like f of x minus f of x sin y plus g of x cos y. Okay, now take uyy, that is going to become like minus f of x cos y minus g of x sine y. Okay, so just sum it up, uyy plus u minus f of x minus f of x, so cancel, minus g of x minus g of x, sine y cancel, so 0 is going to come. So you can just see that. Okay, because these are constants for me with respect to y, if I am differentiating, these are constants for me. Any questions? Any questions? Okay, one more problem is there. Okay, one more problem, last problem. So let us take some nonlinear PDE, u square uy equal to y. How are we going to solve this problem? So this problem is similar to y square y dash equal to x. How do you solve this problem? Any idea? Which technique will you use it to solve this problem?
Separable variable.
Separable variable. Okay, so you can use the separable variable and then you can obtain the answer. So you are going to get, if I just leave it as an exercise to you, so you can obtain that cube root of 3 into 3 by 2 x square plus c is going to come for this problem. Now apply the same thing for this problem. What you are going to get is that you are going to get the same thing. U is equal to, this is y, so cube root of 3 by 2 y square, okay, plus in the place of c you are going to get it some f of x. That's all. Okay. Okay. So these are all very simple problem, a very simple PDE problem. So this is an easy exercise which I have posted in the class, Google Classroom. You can solve using the same kind of technique which I have used in this last 7 examples. 7 examples I have used, right? Similar kind of techniques, you got to use it and that's all. Okay, simple problems. Okay, next one. We are going to use the principle of superposition. I hope you have studied the principle of superposition in the ODE course also. So there is a concept, right? Principle of superposition in ODE course. Have you studied?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Same kind of techniques we are going to use it over here. Okay, the principle of superposition for this course also, for this PDE course also. So suppose you have a U1, U2, Un are solutions of linear so I'm going to take some linear homogeneous ODE first. Okay, sorry, PDE first. LU equal to 0. Okay, this is a linear homogeneous PDE. Means this is a linear operator. On right hand side, I'm assuming it is a 0. Okay, so it's a linear homogeneous PDE is there. Suppose U1, U2, U1, U2, etc. U1 are solutions of this linear homogeneous PDE. Okay. Then their linear combination, I can take something like alpha 1 u1, alpha 2 plus alpha 2 u2, etc., alpha n un. That is also going to be the, so if I apply on the L, that is also going to become like 0. Okay, so that's what this theorem is going to say. So the proof is very simple, as you have did it in the ODE course, a similar kind of proof. So it is given that u1, u2, un are solutions of this homogeneous linear homogeneous PDE. Therefore, LU1 plus LU1 equal to 0, LU2 equal to 0, okay, etc. All LUN equal to 0 is there. Now, if you take L of summation I equal to 1 to n Ci ui, that I can write as, since it is a linear operator, I can just write it as summation I equal to 1 to n Ci Lui, I can write it. Okay. So each of this LU1, LU2, LUN as 0, therefore this is going to become 0. Okay, so see summation Ci into each 0 is going to come. So sum it up and you are going to get 0. Okay, this very simple one. So the same. So suppose you have. So what is it? What is it saying? Suppose you have n solutions for this linear homogeneous PDE, then you can take a linear combination that also will become a solution of this PDE. Okay, so that's what this superposition principle is going to say. So we have applied the superposition called finite linear combination. Now the question is that can we use it for the infinite limit? Okay, so the life is more complicated in this sense, because you will encounter this problem once we come for these problems, once we solve it using the separable PDE or Fourier's method, we'll solve it. In that case, you are not going to end up with finitely many solutions, you are going to get infinitely many solutions. So once it comes to the infinitely many solution, your life is becoming more complicated, because you will get U1, U2, not only U1, U2, UN, you will get U1, U2, UN, etc. Infinitely many solutions is going to be there. Then in that case, the question is that whether U is equal to summation I equal to 1 to N, some Ci into Ui, sorry, I equal to 1 to infinity here. Okay. Whether this is going to be a solution or not, that is a question. Okay, there is a question mark. Whether it is a solution or not. So in this case, what you require is that you got to you require the analysis course once again, where what you need to do is that you got to check whether this series is convergent or not. The convergence of the series is very, very important, where you got to check it. Okay. So first of all, whether it is going to exist or not, then only you can put the equal sign here. So the question is that whether it is going to be there or not. So that is going to be there. So if you assume that the series is convergence, then we got to see like the linearity condition. Okay. So then, so if you assume that whenever this series is convergent, then we can say that that is satisfying the linearity conditions. Okay. So so you got to check also here. There are two types of convergence you might have studied in the analysis. One is called point-wise convergence, another is called uniform convergence. So you got to be very careful with which kind of convergence you got to apply in such a way that you are going to get the answer for this. Okay. So you got to be very clear which kind of convergence, whether it is point-wise convergence required or uniform convergence required, depending on the problem, you may be doing this one. Okay. So some problems, it may be sufficient to get the point-wise convergence in order to obtain the solution. Some problem you require the uniform convergence also. Okay. So now we are going to solve a first order linear PD with constant coefficient. Okay, and then we will see like other things in the later course. So let us any questions on this one so far? Because next part it will be going little theoretical completely. Okay. Okay. Now I'm going to solve a linear PDE with constant coefficient A of x comma y, ux plus b of x comma y, uy plus c of x comma y, u equal to f of x comma y. This is called the linear PDE. Okay, this is called the first order linear PDE. Where x comma y belongs to omega, omega is set of x. Okay. So what I expect for this one, as I mentioned in the solution space, what I expect for a classical solution, what I expect is that I want a u of x comma y in such a way that this u belongs to C1 of omega, because it is a first order PDE. So I require u to be at least one times differentiable and it should be continuous. So u belongs to C1 of omega, and that is by this satisfy this condition. Okay, satisfy this problem. Okay, that I expect. So we expect, so two ways you can do, either you can expect a explicit solution or you can expect a implicit form. Okay, so what is the explicit form means? So suppose if I put u of x comma y equal to explicitly what is the function I can put it, or I can put something like u of x comma y comma u equal to u. That means some implicit function also I can expect that. Okay, so this is called either this form or this form. This is called integral surface. Okay, because what you are going to get is that you are going to get x and y are x comma y belongs to r square. Therefore, the third variable is available. So that means if I plot it against, what you are going to get is that you are having x comma y sitting in this plane. Okay. Now I got to plot it against another coordinate. This is going to come. So it is going to come like a surface is going to come. Okay, some surface is going to come. So that is, this surface is called integral surface. Okay, this is my domain omega. Okay, where I'm just plotting. Once I solve this problem, I'm going to get a surface. So this solution is going to be, I can just plot it in a three-dimensional figure that is going to become like an integral surface. Okay, so even in the n-dimensional also, I'm just going to say it as an integral surface only. Okay, because this is the general setting. So for two-dimensional, whatever you name it, the same thing you are going to name it for the n-dimensional case also. So this is called integral surface or solution surface. Okay, this is called solution surface. So let us solve a simple problem, simple PDE with with constant coefficient. How are we going to solve? Okay, so let us take this problem. So I'm just going to take this problem. AUX plus BUY equal to 0. Okay, assume that A square plus B square not equal to 0. I will explain why this is important. Okay, so AUX plus BUY equal to 0 with A square plus B square not equal to 0. This is the problem I'm going to say. Okay. So this problem is actually part of the convection or advection or transport equation. Okay, this is all, often referred as either a transport equation or a convection equation or advection equation. Okay, depending on this condition, depending on the domain of the. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to do this one. Okay, AUX plus BUY equal to 0. This problem I can write it as A comma B, a vector A comma B dot UX comma UY. I can write it equal to 0. A comma B, UX comma UY equal to 0. So what does it mean? This is nothing but A comma B dot del U equal to 0. I can write it. Okay. Okay. So A comma B dot del U equal to 0. I can write it. So that means what I'm going to get is that this del U definition, you remember that del U is nothing but del is nothing but dou by dou X comma dou by dou Y. Okay, it's a vector dou by dou X, dou by dou Y. So del U is nothing but A comma B dot del U and having. Okay, nabla U del U and having. So now what is the thing is that, so what is this equation is going to represent geometrically, that we are going to see. Okay, from this one we are going to get the answers for this one. So what I'm going to denote is that I'm just going to denote B is equal to A comma B. I'm going to denote. Okay, then this can be written as, this one you can return as, remember the directional derivative definition. So directional derivative is nothing but dv of a comma dv of u equal to 0 means that is nothing but, so this one I can write as v dot del u equal to 0. Okay, so this is nothing but the definition of the directional derivative dv of u equal to 0. Remember that I think third or fourth class we have discussed about the directional derivative. So the directional derivative is dv is nothing but, the directional derivative dv is nothing but dv of u is nothing but v dot del u. Okay, this we have discussed in the third or fourth lecture. Okay, so dvu denotes the directional derivative of u in the direction of the unit vector v. Okay, in the direction of the unit vector v. Therefore, what you are going to get is that you are going to get the solution of this problem. Okay, we are going to obtain that in the direction vector a comma b. I am going to obtain. Okay, so what I am going to get, therefore, if dvu equal to 0, dvu equal to 0, what you are going to obtain is that this is going to become like, you are going to get obtain the u is constant, u equal to constant. This also we have discussed at that time. U is constant along the direction, okay, along the direction of v. Okay, so that means the solution for this problem must be constant in the direction of the vector v. Okay, therefore you are going to get the answer for this one. Okay, so let us see that. How are we going to get that? So in this case, what you are going to get is that it is going to be, I'll just explain that using this one, this graph. See, what you are going to get is that you are going to get the direction of the vector along the, so like this you are going to get, okay, infinitely many is going to come. So suppose my v is sitting somewhere here. Okay, v is equal to a comma ab is somewhere sitting here. This is the vector I have, v is here. Now what is it saying? U equal to constant along the direction of v. Therefore in this line this is going to be constant. Okay, this is going to be like, this is the line you are going to get. This is called characteristic line. I will explain that. This is what you are going to get. Okay, along the direction you are going to get. So u equal to constant along the direction of v. So this line is going to be constant. Okay, this line is going to be constant along this one. Okay, so along this direction you are going to get. So along this, if you take the directional derivative of this one, along this one, it is going to become 0 because it is coinciding with this one. Now the same thing, A parallel line you can get it. Okay, you take a v vector, the parallel line you take it, that is also going to be constant. Along this one, it is going to become constant. Therefore, if I take dvu for this one also, it is going to become 0. This is also going to become 0. Like this, you can just fit that lines. Okay, so that means you are going to get infinitely many. So how are we obtaining that infinitely many? So this is the another school mathematics geometry which you are going to apply it and then get it. How are we? So what I obtain is that u equal to constant along the direction of v obtained. Therefore, I'm going to get a line along this vector. I'm going to get. Therefore, it is going to be constant over there. Now, if it is constant in this place, I can obtain a parallel vector corresponding to this one. Parallel line I can apply, or parallel vector I can obtain through this point b x comma b or x1 comma y, different part I can take it, and then I can find what is the parallel line parallel to the vector v. Okay, line parallel to the vector v I'm going to obtain. Okay, so you remember I put one condition a square plus b square equal to 0. That is going to be play a crucial role here. What I'm going to do here is that I got to obtain the lines parallel to p equal to a comma b. I got to obtain. Okay, so from the school geometry, you might have studied this one. Suppose we want to find the lines parallel to b equal to a comma b and through the point x1 comma y1. Okay, the equation of that line can be represented this one: x minus x1 by a equal to y minus y1 by b. This is the equation. Lines parallel to the vector v equal to a comma b and passing through the point a comma b. Sorry, x1 comma y1. So that means I can just simplify this one. This is going to become like bx, okay, minus ay equal to, so ay1 plus bx1 will come. So that I call it as c. Some constant is going to come. Bx minus ay equal to c is going to come. Now any line parallel to the vector v, okay, has this equation format. Bx minus ay equal to c format it is going to come. This is what the lines parallel to this is going to come. Okay. Now what I have, I'm going to obtain. Okay, so what I want is that I want b dot del u equal to 0 is required. Okay, so this is the vector. I want to find a function u such that this is perpendicular to this one, because b dot del u equal to 0 means what am I obtaining? I'm just trying to find I'm trying to find a function which is satisfying this condition. Okay, v dot del u equal to 0 should be there. Now, in order to find this one, what I have to find is that I have to find the lines perpendicular to this one. Okay, so what I'm going to have, I'm just trying to find b minus a comma b. What is this one? This is going to become like 0. Okay, so this is going to be the dot product b minus a comma b comma minus a comma b. So this is the lines corresponding to this one. When you take a comma b, that is going to become like 0. Okay, therefore, what is it saying? B comma minus a is a normal vector to the lines parallel to this one B. Okay, so this is the line parallel to V and passing through the point x1 comma y1. So I obtained that bx minus ay equal to c. So if you take any of this line, okay, parallel to this one, if you take any of the line, bx minus ay equal to c is going to come. Now what I want is that this is the lines parallel to V. Now what I expect is that I want a u in such a way that this is perpendicular to this one. So therefore, what you are going to get, b minus a is normal vector to the lines parallel to V is going to come. Okay, so that means what you are going to have is that this c is arbitrary constant. What you are going to get is that you are going to get bx minus ay equal to c is going to be determine the family of parallel lines. This is going to determine the family of parallel lines. Not only this line, this is going to, because the c I can vary, so you are going to get a family of parallel lines. These lines are called characteristic lines. Okay, these lines are called characteristic lines. So you can see that this figure. So these are called characteristic lines. Okay, these lines are called characteristic lines. Okay, so last one. So with this, I will stop this one. See, since what I want is that I want u of x comma y is constant in the direction of v. Okay, so that means it should be constant along this line. Bx minus ay also it should be constant along the lines. Okay, so that means what I want, any line containing the point x comma y, okay, which can be determined by this equation, and it should be parallel to that. I mean, Along the line, it should be there. Along the vector v, it should be there. Okay. So therefore, what you are going to get is that your u is depending on the this one bx minus ay. It should be depending on bx minus ay is going to be there. So that means what I'm going to say, I'm going to write my u of x comma y equal to f of bx minus ay. U of x comma y equal to f of bx minus ay. Now just verify that whether it is true or not. F is any arbitrary function. Now what is ux? Ux is nothing but f dash bx minus ay. Okay, with respect to x, I'm differentiating, therefore b is going to be there, and uy is going to become like f dash bx minus ay into minus a is going to come. Okay, now you take aux plus buy. So this is going to become like ab into f dash bx minus y. This is going to become like minus ab f dash into bx minus ay. Therefore, it is going to become 0. That's what we need to solve. Aux plus buy equal to 0 is going to come. Okay. So with this, I will stop. I will explain the method of characteristics. So using this one, we will derive the another one. So if you don't understand any of these things, you can just mention me in the next class. Okay, we will discuss that again. Any questions? Okay, this I will stop. Any questions? Let me know. Any questions? Okay, if not, thank you. I have already given that questions, that exercise for solving. You can solve that problem. Thank you.